Analysts at Parthian Securities expect the equity market performance for this month to remain mixed with a tilt to the bears as investors book profits and anticipate a catalyst that will spur the market. Oluwaseun Dosunmu, head of investment research at Parthian Securities, gives some insight into corporate actions and speculative plays that will define this week. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, David.
Now, talking about corporate actions and speculative plays that will likely define this week, we already have an announcement of dividend payment and also on the back of the full year earnings release. How do you see things shaping up for this week, especially on the back of all of the intricacies that have played out so far?
Well, thank you for that question, David. I mean, we've seen that activities for the month of April has been largely skewed to the negative, and this is largely due to investors crystallizing their profits. I mean, we saw that the month of January and February, January, February, and March actually closed in the positive, but we started to see some part of March started to close in the negative. Investors were taking profits that they've actually made in the first 2 months of the year, and we've actually seen that also dovetail into the month of April. This is not surprising because we know that the dynamics of the exchange has actually changed. We've seen more domestic players increase their weight in the market compared to the foreign players. Nevertheless, investors reacted to the positive results for the 2022 full year results. We've seen positive responses. We've also seen investors react positively to some of the corporate earnings. However, for this month, we've been seeing a lot of profit-taking activities. I mean, if you look back and see what has happened in previous months, that's for the last 5 years for the month of April, you would see that in the last 5 years, the month of April has actually closed in the positive just 3 times in the last 5 years. And that is not, it's not surprising because generally you'd see that those investors who have crystallized some of their profits in March and have taken actually still come back to the market, but we're not seeing that kind of momentum. Just like today, we saw a 10% decline during trading activities in Airtel Africa.
Yes. And talking about Airtel Africa, I'd like to have your thoughts. Do you think the sell-off we saw witnessed prior to the Easter holidays will continue as we closed last week and we're entering into this week? The market is just resuming. This is the first day after the holidays. Do you still see the sell-off persisting?
Honestly, right now it's too early to tell because this is the first trading session of the week. But what we've seen is that for Airtel Africa, we've seen some domestic players just exit that space.
Yes.
We also saw a similar trading pattern last week. Nevertheless, I mean, right now, market players are actually waiting for a catalyst, something that would actually drive investors back into the market. So right now, it's still too early to tell. What we're doing right now is to observe and look at what is happening in the market. We're seeing some corporate announcements, move some activities. Nevertheless, the market is still tilting to the bears, and we're actually looking at what is also happening in the fixed income market. We know that yields in the fixed income market are starting to increase.
Yeah. And I'm sure investors' focus is also on Seplat Energy as well. It has been in the news for, not necessarily for the best of news, but with this new commitment of $11.5 million to end routine gas flares in 2024, hopefully that helps to lift the sentiment on that stock. Thank you so much for your time on the show today, Oluwaseun Dosunmu. That was Oluwaseun Dosunmu, head of investment research at Parthian Securities. And